o'clock, so we'll get started. Today is February 19th, 2026. It is 10 a.m. We are in the fourth floor boardroom of the Central High School building at the Mississippi Department of Education here in Jackson, Mississippi. Couple of reminders, please silence your cell phones if you haven't already done so, and also that this meeting is being live streamed. We have two of our board members, I believe, that are remote. So Dr. McGehee, would you give us your location, please?
Absolutely. Madison, Mississippi, 568 Harvard Drive.
Thank you, sir. And then, Ms. Warner, are you there? Okay, I'm sure we will know when she arrives, so we can make note of that.
Oh, I talked to her this morning also. She said she was going to be remote.
She'll be right, okay.
Okay, so like I said, we'll know it when she gets here. First thing on our agenda is a new thing that we've just started this year is the national anthem. And this week it is going to be brought to us by the Pearl High School Chamber singer. Oh my gosh, Pearl High School Chamber Singers. I'm on the first item and I can't read. Andy Beasley is the Pearl High School choir director. And the Mississippi. Good morning, Mary. Good morning, Mary. Mary, would you give us your location, please?
Southfield, Mississippi.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, let me start that over. The national anthem is going to be brought to us by the Pearl High School Chamber Singers in the Pearl Public School District. Mr. Andy Beasley is the director of the choir, and he's also the Mississippi Music Educators Association president. Dr. Michael Brewer is their principal, and Chris Chisholm is their superintendent. Y'all will all stand, please. If y'all would remain standing, please. Mr. Mayo is going to lead us in our pledge, and Mr. Pruitt will lead us in our invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Liberty and justice for all.
Father God, we come to you today and we know we are blessed and we know those blessings have come from you. We ask you to watch over our actions. We ask you to watch over the actions of the teachers and administrators and the parents in our state. We pray for the future of our children here and the future of the children in our country. We thank you for all that you do in our lives, and we ask these things in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Our next item is the approval of the minutes from the January 15th, 2026 meeting. So I have a motion to approve those.
So moved. Mary Warner.
Second. Ms. Werner and Mr. East on the seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, with our agenda, does anybody need to add or delete anything from our agenda? Okay, do we need to move anything from the consent agenda to the regular agenda? All right, so do I have a motion to approve our agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Mr. Mayo and Ms. Stroud, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, next, our recognition ceremony this morning. Ms. Cook.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Miller, Dr. Evans, and state board members. Today, in celebration of National Career and Technical Education Month, we are recognizing 2 Mississippi educators who recently became national finalists at the 2025 Association for Career and Technical Education Conference in Nashville. The national selection process is very competitive. Educators are nominated at the state level and scored by the Mississippi Association for CTE Awards Committee. State winners then advance to the regional level. Only regional winners compete at the national level. Through a rigorous process, 2 Mississippi educators emerged as national finalists. This reflects the quality and leadership and instruction in Mississippi CTE programs. The first educator is Rex Buckholtz, who was named the 2025 National Association for CTE Lifetime Achievement finalist. Mr. Buckholtz, please join Mr. Miller and Dr. Evans at the front of the boardroom. Mr. Buckholtz's career represents nearly 5 decades of effective leadership in Mississippi CTE. He devoted 46 years to public education in Perry County, Forest County AHS, Wayne County, and Jones County. He first worked for 14 years as an agricultural teacher before serving as a CT director for 32 years, shaping programs and policy across the state. Beyond his local and district impact, Mr. Buckholtz served 3 terms as Mississippi ACTE state president, and he held numerous leadership roles within Mississippi ACTE, Region 4, and National ACTE. In 2025, he was named the Mississippi ACTE Lifetime Achievement Award recipient and subsequently the Region 4 ACTE Lifetime Achievement Award winner. Though he's now retired, he continues to actively serve and mentor within the Association for Career and Technical Education. Mr. Buckholtz, you are welcome to make remarks at this time.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it too, Dr. Evans, Ms. Miller. And as I look out, you know, it gets to that point, it's all about the friends and acquaintances along the way. And after 46 years and the young ones that you've been able to, you know, sometimes steer the right way or make an impact, and you see now what they're doing and got them scattered all over the country. And because I was telling Dr. Evans earlier, you know, I was just one of them knucklehead young ones coming through school, and I had a great ag teacher that kind of instilled in me kind of what I wanted to do, and I moved forward from that, and kind of went with it to the point of, you know, you lead, follow, or get out of the way. And you either get involved and try to be a part of, whether it's your students, your parents, your faculty, your staff, just trying to make that good example to move forward. As I made a lot of good friends, Dr. Evans, I've been knowing him a long time, Dr. East, a lot of people sitting at the table, I've seen your faces before. A good friend of mine, Dr. McGee, he couldn't make it today, but wouldn't take nothing for it. I enjoyed every minute of it, and just look forward to going from this point on. And there's a lot of folks help me and call it giving back, and I'm still involved in Mississippi ACT and on the Region 4 level, national level. So it's been my pleasure. It's so humbling, and about the most humbling thing that happened to me last year. down at summer conference. I know I ain't got 5 minutes. The Mississippi Association of Career and Technical Secondary Directors, we usually give a scholarship every year. And last year at summer conference, they named that scholarship in my honor. So from this point forward, it'll be the Rex Buckhoff's ACTE scholarship. Very humbling to me. All the things that I've been afforded, opportunities to serve and be a part of, it's just all about the good friends and acquaintances and my family and the time it took from them for me to do what I done. And so it's just been a pleasure and wouldn't take nothing for it.
Our next honoree is Clint Young, who was named the 2025 National Association for Career and Technical Education Teacher of the Year finalist. Mr. Young, please join Mr. Miller and Dr. Evans at the front of the boardroom. Mr. Young is a 16-year agriculture educator at Pontotoc Ridge Career and Technology Center, where he teaches agriculture, animal science, veterinary science, precision agriculture, and plant science. He also leads an active FFA chapter, preparing students for careers in leadership at the local, state, and national levels. His peers recognized him as Mississippi Association of Agriculture Educators North District Teacher of the Year, the State Agriculture Teacher of the Year in 2024, the Mississippi Association for CTE Teacher of the Year, and the Region 4 Association for CTE Teacher of the Year. As a regional winner, Mr. Young was one of only 5 finalists nationwide for the 2025 Association for Career and Technical Education Teacher of the Year. Mr. Young, you're welcome to make remarks at this time.
Yes, ma'am. I told Mr. Rex I'd give him some of my minutes if he needed. I do appreciate it. It's been a great honor. I never expected this opportunity to grow as big as it is, to be standing here in the 4th floor in front of the state board. And I'm just trying to soak it in for a moment, and I appreciate it. Probably the biggest thing is like Mr. said, it's all about the students. If you keep them first and you keep them the center of everything you do, life and education will take care of itself. Regardless of whatever happens in any other situation, you know, I'm missing the classroom today. We'll play catch up tomorrow. It'll be great. But I do look forward to it. I've worked in agriculture ever since I graduated from Mississippi State back in the 1990s. And I would say the most rewarding thing I've done is being in the classroom with students. Being able to share knowledge that university and its previous experiences gave me, that's what we're here for, is to move them forward, regardless of what our abilities are at times. I do want to say that I am extremely honored to work in a district that is extremely supportive. Our guests back here, we've got Dr. Puckett, Superintendent. I've been in front of that board numerous times to ask them to go numerous out-of-state trips. Not once has that board ever told us no, that we couldn't go, because it's to the benefit of the children. They let us have a little piece of land, build a barn, we've got animals. That's because of them having the foresight to believe in us. Got my director, she's a supportive one. She also, sometimes she looks at us with some of the ideas that we try to come up with, but she doesn't tell us no. She knows students are first also, and she's more than willing to help support us in any way possible to get those things done. And then my final boss is here, my wife. No, I have a boss lady and I have a boss. I have 2 of them. I don't think a lot of times maybe she doesn't get the thanks. There's a lot of nights I'm gone. We're training teams, we're on road trips, whatever they may be. But she's 100% supportive of me doing what needs to be done for the good of others. Do what's right for the kids. She's been an educator her whole life also, so she understands the importance. But you know as well as I do, when one's gone, she accepts the stress of having
2 kids by herself, supper to fix, and everything else that goes along with that. So without the team that we have, my co-teacher included, he's not here, but I couldn't do a lot without him either. What I've done and what this award has meant just wouldn't be possible, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Next up is the report of the superintendent, Dr. Evans.
Yes, sir. All right, congratulations again to those, some great guys, all your years of service. We appreciate that, and safe travels back home. All right, so starting out here, we have had some meetings obviously lots of meetings from a legislative standpoint. We are in the middle of our session, but just two primary things here we wanted to point out. One, our appropriations bill, our MDE's appropriations bill, has passed out of the House Appropriations Committee. This is not the final bill. There'll obviously be some changes that are made. But in the event you're tracking it, it is House Bill 1935 as far as our appropriations bill, as far as appropriations go for us currently. I had a meeting with the Legislative Black Caucus. They invited me to present at a lunch meeting they had. The primary topics there were the progress that we've made, as well as the priorities moving forward. And obviously, you ladies and gentlemen know the progress and the priorities. I felt as though it was a very the meeting was very beneficial, very supportive. It was about an hour, so had a lot of good questions and had some follow-up questions and meetings. Excuse me. After that. So we had some stakeholder meetings that took place as well. One was a workforce development luncheon. I attended it. It was the day before yesterday. And it was New Albany and Union County. It's actually my old stomping ground before I came here. They had work-based learning there, but they're expanding their work-based learning programming. One of our board members was the mastermind maybe behind putting all that together. Ms. Stroud, I appreciate her. I also appreciate her invitation that allowed me to participate there. They have great people there. They're very workforce centric. A lot of what the conversation was in that meeting is one of the main driving reasons we now have a workforce initiative at the department, because it's not that districts don't want to, they just need some help getting started lots of times, depending on where they are. So that's a priority that myself personally I had coming in, but also moving forward that we have in our strategic plan and also just the work in general of our department. U.S. Department of Education had a state chiefs roundtable. It was a virtual meeting that we had, it seems like at least a couple of times a week somebody asks, well, what's the differences? What are the changes from USDE down to the state? They're just now getting to the point to where some of those are being communicated. Mixed reviews on some. Really don't know in some cases exactly how it will turn out because they're not far enough along. But this meeting primarily dealt with interagency agreements. Those interagency agreements, or IIAs, they refer to them as, with USD, or affectionately we refer to as ED. They've been shifted over to the Department of Labor as well as the Department of Interior. So it's how that's working. Basically the same people are doing the same work. They're just in a different building now, it seems like. Really, I think that's probably summing it up. That's what I got from it. They are streamlining some processes, and we actually are looking, a little off the script here, had a couple meetings this week, and we'll follow up in a month as to ways that we personally can look at some more consolidation of federal funds that makes it easier for our districts to be able to utilize those and provide more flexibility with them. Unfortunately, the reporting doesn't decrease, but the flexibility of using those does increase. So we'll be able to come back to you later with some information there. I attended an adolescent literacy training. We have this particular training was at Kosciuszko Junior High. And on the front end of our request to expand our literacy work, which is over both House and Senate, have bills that we're trying to get across the finish line over there for our literacy and math initiatives currently. But Dr. Nowell and Ms. Clemens put together a 3-district pilot program that focused on the adolescent literacy piece. So they were in the next to the last training session, so I attended that and participated. Very positive results there. Everybody was, it was very welcoming to hear there were no negative conversations. It was all about, how they're using the information, the training that they have to move forward in their classroom, how, when you have math teachers, science teachers talking positive about literacy initiatives in grades 4 through 8, that's a positive because it means that they're being taught how to take their current content that they use and mold it into the literacy initiative, if you will. So I thought that was very, very positive. Had a speaking engagement. I know you know this, but we have packaged a leadership program in our state, and we've titled it Mississippi Leads. And in that, we have the Mississippi Superintendent's Institute, the Orientation for School Leaders program, which we've always had, and our PGS, or Professional Growth System. Those are now packaged under Mississippi Leads. I had the opportunity to speak at AASA with a group of people, but our primary focus was thinking differently about systems leadership, and it was talking about our approach and how we begin with the superintendency piece and have back mapped all the way back down to the classroom, and we're now obviously continuing to develop the administrative piece, but to develop out the classroom piece. One of the things that I want to say that I could formally say now, couldn't have until last week because they hadn't formally approved it, but so MSBA, we know they have a prospective superintendent's academy. Our Superintendent's Institute is for sitting primarily first and second year superintendents. We also have a cohort of career superintendents. And I feel like we'll probably have to have another one because people are wanting to participate. So we wanted to try to make sure and streamline the superintendent training because I don't need them out of their districts and they don't want to be out of their districts as little as possible and also get the benefit from the training. So Mass also has a superintendent training process that they have for the first year superintendent. So their board and executive director, Dr. Birchfield, made the decision to roll their training into ours. So now we'll have one single training program, if you will, and it adds the content that we'll have, but we're also revising our current content to decrease and streamline and try to decrease some of the time that our superintendents are out, for sure not increasing it, but maybe even spreading it over a longer period of time so that it's not as, it's a lot of work. I mean, it's going through this Superintendent's Institute. It is a lot of work, and we've tried to design it in a way to where we weren't putting a lot of homework on participants before they get there because life happens and you've got all this other stuff going on. And then you show up and you're supposed to have read 100 pages of information and come on now. Life's hard. So we're trying to develop it in a way to where they get that while they're there. Now they reflect and prepare, but it's not too burdensome for them. From a media standpoint, I did participate in a CNN podcast interview. It was a very positive experience. It's called 5 Good Things is the name of the podcast. And we just talked about 2024 NAEP results and 2026 legislative priorities. And also you have a New York Times article. It should be in your stack of things here. The title of it is These 3 Red States Are the Best Hope in Schooling. So what they've done is they've taken Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama and looked at the progress that those states have had with their public education systems and the positive outcomes for students. And they did an article on it. They started out interviewing our people here at the agency, and then they actually went into some districts and gained some more insight there. So that's my report.
Thank you.
Dr. Evans, I got a text this morning from some friends in Alabama. There was a Fox News special that very much flows to that article. I don't know if it posted this morning when they did, but they sent it this morning. It was super complimentary and encouraging.
Good. Thank you, sir.
My report, very simple. I've had several conversations with Dr. Evans as we advance along the strategic plan, which you're going to hear an update about that. But I hope we're close to getting that over the finish line, as well as dealing with our troubled school districts. So with that, we'll turn to our student representative reports. First, we have Crosby, our senior representative, who will tell us about the benefits of the Student Advisory Council.
Good morning. Over the last 2 years, I've had the privilege of being able to be a part of the Superintendent Student Advisory Council. The council includes about 114 high school juniors and seniors from across Mississippi who are selected through a very competitive process to provide direct input to the state superintendent on education policy. So throughout the year, I'm sure we've all heard about it, they have the meetings, and at the very end, they'll present to Dr. Evans. And throughout the program, I've seen that its purpose is simple but very powerful. It gives students a voice in statewide decisions, kind of like what we do on the board. They meet to discuss topics like school safety, cell phone policies, and college prep. And we work together to share perspectives with MDE leadership. I have gotten the opportunity to have my own mentorship group. And so through that, I was able to consolidate a lot of different opinions and viewpoints on mentorship from throughout the state. As a senior, what's meant the most to me has been watching some of my friends and watching other students grow into the program. I've seen members who started off quiet, maybe not knowing what they were meant to do, become confident speakers and put just hours and hours of effort into their final presentations. I've watched students learn how to collaborate professionally and to take ownership of their own ideas. For many of them, especially at Gulfport High, a lot of us seniors, they use the Student Advisory Council as part of their college resume, but not as just checkboxes. Each one had individual stories of working with other students and coming together to make the state better. And they showed confidence and practical skills that they'll carry forward throughout Mississippi. As a student representative, I've learned how important it is to give students opportunities to step into professional spaces, to put on the suit, sit at the table, and be taken seriously. These moments build confidence and prepare students for life beyond high school, and the Advisory Council creates the perfect environment. Programs like this show us what happens when we trust students with responsibility. They rise to the occasion. Expanding opportunities like this across our districts will help ensure students are not just academically prepared, but professionally ready for what comes next. Thank you.
Thank you, Crosby. And next we'll hear from Michelle, our junior representative, speaking about the Distinguished Young Woman Program.
Good morning. So today I would like to share my experience participating in Distinguished Young Woman and why it's important that schools should continue to share information about these opportunities to their students. So at the last board meeting, I talked about my goals for this year, and one of them was to compete in DYW and hopefully be able to represent Lamar County to go to state. So that competition took place in the last week of January, and I was lucky enough to be selected as Lamar County's DYW, and I'll be going to state in Meridian in July. So through DYW, I learned a lot more than I expected. I spent several Sundays preparing with other girls, which helped me build discipline and commitment. And then we practiced mock interviews, learned fitness routines, and worked on different skills that pushed me outside of my comfort zone. So this opportunity allowed me to meet with other girls from other schools and build connections with people that I might not have met otherwise. So overall, DYW has helped me grow in confidence and responsibility, and it will continue to push me to my limits as I prepare for state. So while talking about DYW, I would also like to say that I'm especially grateful that my school regularly shares opportunities like DYW, Girls State, and scholarships like the Coca-Cola program. So there are so many students who could benefit from experiences like these, but they can only participate if they know about it in the first place. And I also think that schools could do even more when it comes to sharing opportunities with students. While I'm grateful that my school already does a good job in sending out information about these programs, I've realized that there are so many more incredible opportunities out there that I've only discovered by doing my own research. Like there are leadership programs, summer programs, scholarships, internships, and academic opportunities that many students would benefit from, but they often go unnoticed simply because students don't know where to look. So for example, I found out about the Hattiesburg Mayor's Youth Council after seeing someone else post about it on Instagram. So it was a really wonderful opportunity to give back to my community and get involved in Hattiesburg. But when I participated, I noticed that there were very few Oak Grove students who were involved in it because a lot of them didn't know about the program itself. And not every student has the time or dedication to search for these programs and opportunities, which is why I think that school communication is so important. And if schools expanded how often and how widely they're shared these resources through emails, announcements, counselors, or even in classrooms, I think that it could open doors for so many more students. So because of my experience, I believe that continuing to prioritize communication about these leadership programs, scholarships, and opportunities is essential, and it helps ensure that all students, regardless of background, have a fair chance to learn, grow, and take advantage of the experiences that can shape their future. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Congratulations on that. All right, next, we had one subcommittee meet, the Internal Accountability Subcommittee. Mr. Mayo.
Mr. Chairman, we met on Tuesday afternoon virtually. A couple updates from program evaluation, the ongoing work around early childhood and the classroom interactions, as well as the shift in their main work effort right now is towards peer reporting that's going to be due mid-year around our early learning childhood programs. And then we also received some updates from SAM related to the outstanding audits and the progress that we are working towards in that area.
All right. Next on our agenda is an information item regarding a report for the 2026 graduation rates. Dr. Manford.
Good morning. This morning we'll have a brief information item that will provide you the 2026 graduation rates and dropout rates. The backup material that you have for this item has the information broken down by district, state information in aggregate, as we'll share with you today. And then in addition, it breaks down by district, by school. So all the slides that we'll share today are represented in your backup material. And in accordance with federal and state law, we're providing you this report. It's based on the 4-year adjusted cohort method. So this report for 2026 is seniors for school year 24-25, and those students entered the 9th grade for the first time in school year 21-22.
All right, and I'm so glad to get to be the first to present in our new template, so I hope you like the new look. As you know, it's astutely that graduation rates, dropout rates are very important to our vision and mission and ensuring that students are capable and ready to move on after they finish high school. So this is a very important topic. Just a little bit more background from what Dr. Vanderford gave. We use graduation rates that are defined in federal statute according to state law. That is the 4-year adjusted cohort graduation rate, which just basically means that students can move in and out of the cohort over the 4-year period. They need to complete by the end of that 4th year, July 31st of each year. And this is the group that started in 21-22, which the first year following those pandemic years. So just a few more definitions for what you might see in the report. We calculate graduation rate based on a traditional graduate, and then we have other status as well. So a completer is a student that receives something other than a traditional diploma or state-defined alternate diploma. We have students that will not complete in their 4th year. They'll be still enrolled and return in the 5th year. And then we have students that transfer out of the cohort to private school or out of state. And then the remainder are those that are counted in the dropout rate. So this is our trend over the past several years. We've had a steady upward trend with the exception of last year. And then a meaningful increase this year to 90.8%. You'll see the national average there stops in '22. That's the last reported year that we have. We usually get the national rate in late spring, May of each year, so we'll get the next year later this spring. Dropout rate, again, a significant, meaningful drop from 8.5% to 7%. And then we just have some tables here to show you a breakdown by subgroups. I'll just point out a couple of them, which I'll mention further. One of our larger subgroups, students with disabilities, is at 71.1, which is an increase over last year, but still lagging behind our students without disabilities. And then I'll just point out that for limited English proficiency students, we see a lot of movement in and out of the cohort in that group, as many of those are transient, which can impact that rate. So you'll see the 60.3% graduation rate. And this just kind of highlights change from last year for all of these different subgroups. And I'll point out the two that have a decline from last year, American Indian or Alaska Native, have relatively low in count, so we see more volatility in those groups when they have low in counts. So that's to be expected. And then I would just say for limited English proficiency, it's only a 1/10 of a point difference, so probably not a meaningful change from last year, so I'd probably count that as steady. And then this just shows those different statuses that I mentioned earlier and the rates over the past several years for the state. And this table just shows for students with disabilities, again, an increase in graduation rate for those students. And then this is just a breakdown of where district count by graduation rate. So of note here, you'll see 30 districts have a graduation rate 95% or greater. And then on this chart here for dropout rates, we have 56 districts that have a dropout rate under 5%. All right, I hope that was short but sufficient. Any questions?
The slide that you had, the state average compared to the national average, what do we do with that? And why is that not like a big billboards all around the state? I would think that is tremendous. What do we do with that information? How do we release it? Who sees it? And what's the benefit of making a big push or not making a big push?
So I will say that we do share that information. I mean, that's one of the things that we highlight in every presentation that we have. We highlight our gains. When we highlight our academic gains, we also highlight the increase in graduation rate. We just really point to, factors that we believe sometimes that often leads with our policy changes that we've had since 2014 that provide students more opportunities to remain in school and earn a diploma, but we just.
I mean, in the middle of a legislative session, every TV station and every print media in the state should have that in a press release.
They will by the end of this meeting. Miss Cook has, Miss Jean Cook has read it. She may have already hit send on the email. They're pretty proficient in getting that sent out.
You serious?
But yes, no. As soon as y'all get it, she sends it during the meeting. So yeah.
I'll be looking for it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. That was my only question.
Any other questions? Thank y'all. Our next item is an information item regarding the progress of the Office of Career, Technical, and Workforce Education K-12 Workforce Development Plan. Mr. Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Thank you, Dr. Evans and board. Thank y'all very much for the opportunity to come in front of you today. In our office, the Office of School District Transformation houses workforce development and CTE. So what our office has been working on over the last several months is a K-12 workforce development plan to be implemented throughout schools. A lot of times people don't think of workforce development as being in elementary schools and things like that, but there are things and skills and opportunities that you can give elementary students, teachers, and principals to incorporate in elementary schools. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Brett Robinson, who is our Associate State Superintendent over CTE and Workforce Development, to go through the presentation at this time to give you an update on where we are in that plan, what we've done, and where we're going.
Hey, good morning. John and I were hoping for extra credit to be the first presentation on the new template, but Paul and Alan stole that opportunity from us, so we'll still hope you consider our opportunity for maybe a little extra credit.
You know, like they say, second place.
Ready, being productive citizens is part of our vision and mission. And so really this work that we're doing goes back to who we are as an agency and what we're wanting to accomplish. Anytime I talk with our directors, we always talk about how we really live as an office in goals 2 and 4, and our work here really kind of matches that. So again, this started about a year ago. We put together a task force that was made up of both academic and CTE educators. We had elementary teachers and principals, we had middle school teachers and principals, we had counselors, CTE directors, CTE counselors, CTE instructors, workforce directors, superintendents. Accelerate Mississippi was involved, Mississippi Economic Council was involved, and we also had representation from business and industry. What you'll see that has come from that is truly driven by the feedback that we received from that task force and the work that that task force did over about a 6-month period. The major goal of this plan was to create something that MDE has as the foundation. You know, we know the worst thing that we could do is go into every single district, throw down a 30-page packet that's exactly the same and say, all right, guys, here's your workforce development plan. And so what we've done, or what we've worked very hard to do, is just create the basics that districts can then use to create their own unique plans that meet their needs in terms of the business and industry that's available to them, their students' interests, their region of the state, and so on. And so that's really kind of been our goal as we work through this. Another part of this, and she didn't want to come sit up here, but in June, we hired a K-12 workforce development director in kind of collaboration with the RCU, and her name is Amanda Tullis. Stand up, Amanda. So Amanda's sitting back here, and she has really been at the driver's seat of this. I always kind of make this joke, and we'll talk a little bit about it here in a minute too, but when I hired Amanda, and Amanda and I have known each other for a long time, John and I felt like we needed someone who understood elementary, who understood workforce, who understood being a teacher, being an administrator, and Amanda has done all those things. And so when we hired Amanda, I said, Amanda, your job is essentially one thing. You've got to change the culture of educators in the state of Mississippi to think about academics and workforce. That's all. I was like, if you can change the culture, you got it. And she has worked extremely hard in terms of doing that. And so very appreciative to her and the work that she's done. So as you can see across the top, basically we've taken our model, broken that down into 4 grade bands. K2 being career awareness, career exploration, grades 3 through 5, career prep, grades 6 through 8, and career training, work-based learning, essentially talking about CTE in grades 9 through 12. For today's purposes, we're really going to kind of clump K5 together and 6-12 together. So one of the major pieces of feedback that we heard from our stakeholder, our task force group, but has been continued to be echoed in any other business and industry state level meeting that myself or Dr. Farrell or Ms. Tullis have been in, is we need an emphasis on skills, we need an emphasis on skills, we need an emphasis on skills. So the plan that you see here really has a focus on skills. So at the K2 level, what we've tried to do is create a theme that is relevant and that is relatable to each grade level. So you can see kindergarten, what are jobs in my family? How often in our kindergarten, first grade schools, kindergarten classrooms do we have dress up, days, right? And it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Amanda always tells a story as a former kindergarten, first grade administrator. She's like, everything I learned in kindergarten, right? That's kind of the idea here. First grade, jobs in my community. Second grade, jobs in different environments. And then you can see the skills focus that comes within that K-2 grade band. Moving over to grades 3 through 5, career exploration. Here we're talking about jobs in different sectors, jobs in my region, and then in 5th grade, really kind of expanding that out to jobs in my state, with the skills focuses being problem solving, digital literacy, and project-based learning. So the question then comes that we really wrestled with is, what I didn't want to do, or none of us wanted to do really, was create a plan that required additional work on teachers. Again, the next, or really the worst thing to give in every district the same plan would be to ask every single teacher, I just need you to do one more thing. So we really toiled over how can we achieve this without requiring extra work. And so we collaborated with Wendy and Dr. Nowell and their offices to kind of work through this, and very excited about kind of the aha moment that we had when we realized that there is a direct alignment to the HQIMs that have been adopted. I think it's close to 90% of our districts across the state. There is a direct correlation to the skills that are being taught as part of those academic lessons. So I've given you just one example right here of a kindergarten HQIM. We worked very hard. With the elementary side, the literacy side, the math coaches. The math side of the academic house, to look at each one of our ELA HQIMs and each one of our math HQIMs and crosswalk the skills that we talked about focused in grades K1 and grades 2 through 5 or 3 through 5 to those skills. And so, for example, here you can see the academic standards that are taught as part of these lessons. So just take the first one, Savas My View. So a teacher who is using that HQIM is teaching units 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Using this document, they can see that teamwork, communication, and following directions is part of the lesson they are already teaching. So it's just, again, it's taking what we're doing, but asking to have a little bit of a mind shift to understand that we can, as much as we're focusing on academic standards, we can also recognize and draw attention to the skills that are being taught as part of that lesson as well. And so I'm not going to go into that. I know that can be kind of hard to read, but we've done that for all of the HQIMs, grades K through 5 and ELA. We've done it for math, and I believe we are currently working on science. And so by the beginning of next school year, we'll have that work completed. Another resource that we were excited to get out to districts, we already have an existing partnership with Junior Achievement Mississippi. They took their lessons, in terms of literacy and all the different areas that they provide, and they did the same thing. They crosswalked those skills that we've identified, K through 5 in each grade. They crosswalked that with the resources that they provide. And so teachers, in addition to not only the HQIMs, they also have deliberately constructed resources that relate back to those skills and those themes in each one of their resources. And then the last resource that we've developed, I'm going to show you, and it's not the only ones, but I just kind of wanted to highlight these three. We had some existing K through 5, or actually K through 12 workforce lessons that lived in the counseling section of our website and kind of fall under that. We've taken those additional lessons that if teachers decide, hey, I want to go a little bit further into communication in the first grade, or I want to go a little bit further into problem solving and I teach third grade, they have some Mississippi created handmade lessons that spell out the teacher will, the student will, say this, do this, go to this resource, use it in this way. 2 lessons per grade, K through 5, and we're continuing to build out some additional lessons there. Again, all about trying to provide some whatever additional resources we can provide to teachers. All right, moving on to grades 6 through 12 with career preparation and career training and work-based learning. Again, you can see here the skills focus, the themes within each of those grades, and then 9 through 12 skill focus, and I won't take the time to read those to you. Another kind of sticking point here was, okay, we were worried about how do we do this and not put more work on teachers. Through collaboration with the academic side, we got that figured out. Then what kept me up at night was, okay, we've promised to create a plan that districts can build off of and make their own. How in the world are we really going to do that? Got our heads together and kind of realized that we have an existing course that's called Career Pathways that is all about career awareness, but that we could really kind of repackage and do that in a different way. And so what we're working on right now, this is kind of in one of our ongoing pieces right now, is looking at how we can revise and rethink this course. What we're looking at is creating it as an opportunity to be a 6th grade exploratory, because we know 6th grade is kind of a missing grade when it comes to workforce, right? We have a lot of middle school CTE stuff, that's 7th and 8th grade. We can look at this focus on the elementary side, but what about 6th grade? And 6th grade is that pivotal transition year. So looking at an exploratory option in terms of exploring careers where districts can handpick the areas that they want to focus on. The requirement that MDE would have is that you have to provide instruction on the priority sectors that are identified in your region. Mississippi is broken into 8 ecosystems. I'll show you that here in a minute. And each one of those ecosystems, Accelerate Mississippi has identified the priority sectors, the priority workforce sectors for that region. So what we say is you start with those priority workforce sectors for your region of the state, for your ecosystem. From there, you can branch out into what CTE courses, in addition to that, your district offers, and that is a tremendous recruitment tool for those programs. If you have an employer that is the biggest employer in your county, do you have some training that can be provided in terms of that? And again, it's really kind of all about exposure. But looking at how we can redo that course where really that 6th or 7th grade year becomes the opportunity for the district to make the plan their own and build that based off of their needs. The culmination of that would be that the student completes the ISP, which is already a mandated document that every student is to have. It's to be updated annually. That just tracks their interest, their progress towards graduation. Another existing, and so going with that, so I want you to think about, put yourself in the shoes of a 6th grader, right? So or 7th grader, and you're in exploring careers, you're learning about the priority sectors, you're learning about different CTE courses that may be offered, and we want to kind of spell that out for you. Again, these were some documents that the RCU kind of put together that we asked for to really highlight what some of those career paths may look like. And so I've given you one example here of health sciences. We've tried to make this document with the intention that the audience of this is not only students, but it's also parents. As a parent of 2 juniors and a 7th grader, I still like my paper copy of stuff, right? But my kids can't stand a paper copy. So we've got this in both paper, and then you see there's a QR code down there at the bottom. So what this one pager really does, it just kind of gives you a glimpse of what to expect in terms of employment, in terms of compensation, and what it takes to get to this level. You also can see there for the community colleges, what community colleges and what ecosystems offer post-secondary opportunities. You see that QR code down there at the bottom. One of the things that Dr. Farrell wanted to be sure we added was we wanted some form of a visual to show what does this process look like. And so as a parent or a kid, if they scan that QR code, it would take you to then a digital document that looks very similar to this. And you can see little Susie there on the left-hand side. She is starting her journey, and she is wanting to end in becoming a nurse. And then you've got the banners along the way where districts can then go in and they can customize this to talk about what opportunities for career prep, for planning, foundational experiences, career and technical skills. Districts can make this document their own, again, to meet their needs for their students. So I've gone home, and me and Dad here have looked through that, and Dad says, man, it sounds like a great plan. We need to go to school and get you on the right track. So then when I meet with my counselor, upon the completion of this, we're going to provide districts with this document here where they can now plan out 7th through, essentially through, what does that say, 15th grade, so through post-secondary of what courses you need to take to stay on track, to stay on path, and again, a completely customizable document for districts depending on the courses that they offer, depending on when they offer them. Again, how can we make this plan, how can we make this process unique for districts? And then once you complete that, again, as you do your scheduling for each year, we refer back to this document. Are you on track? Do we need to make some changes? Are we changing paths? If we're changing paths, what have I taken? What do you need to take? What correlates? So on and so forth. All right, getting close to the end, I promise. So one of the things we also did as part of this process was we reached out to every district and we said, we want to know your point of contact for workforce development, right? We got everything from superintendents to assistant superintendents, curriculum directors, principals, CTE directors. We got the gamut. The map that you see here, this is an example of the 8 ecosystems and the districts that fall within each ecosystem. And so we are tracking a lot of data and some questions and things that we asked those districts for to determine what are our strengths and weaknesses not only as a state, but what are our strengths and weaknesses in ecosystem 1, which is that top light blue. What is our strength and weaknesses in ecosystem 2, which is the top right orange, kind of northeast corner of the state. And this has been some valuable information that's really, again, driven some of the work that we've done. At the state level, really what we saw were some of the strategies that are occurring in school districts that have been seen the most beneficial: career fairs and expos, work-based learning experiences, partnerships with industry, early career exploration, career coaching and guidance. I mentioned that Accelerate Mississippi has been a tremendous partner in this, and even through this work that we've done, we've been asked to get a little more involved with their career coach program and some of the training and things like that. And so we're working very closely with Dr. Taylor, the Executive Director of Accelerate, and Blaze King in helping kind of figure out how we can experience or we can achieve some of those things together. And then finally, just some of the barriers that were kind of identified by districts. And again, you're not only going to see this in Mississippi, meetings I go to across the country, these are the same things that all the other states are saying, right? So age restrictions, liability and insurance, things like that. Transportation being a huge barrier, especially for some of our more rural districts. Funding resource constraints, and then administrative and scheduling barriers. Again, that kind of goes back to, can we change the culture and get districts, get principals, get counselors to think different about scheduling? Are there opportunities for seniors to go outside of the classroom to get education related to workforce? And so finally, next steps, really what we are in the middle of right now, outside of the work being done on the Exploring Careers, is training, training, training. We are looking for every opportunity. Myself, Dr. Farrell, Ms. Tullis is probably on her about 3rd set of tires in 6 months. How can we get out and get this information going to teachers, to administrators? Mentioned the leveling up. I think it was mentioned our last board meeting. We have our final meeting up in Oxford there. That entire conference has been based on workforce, and we have really just honed in on this model, this K-12 plan with them. Creation of a web-based platform. We want to make this a digital format. As part of that, we're going to encompass a whole lot of other things in that where we're going to create templates. We actually already have these. We're going to update these, but have templates available to districts so as they reach out asking for partnerships with business and industry, CT directors are doing their advisory committees. They don't have to come up with things from scratch. They can go to this website, they can pull a template, change a few names and a date, and send it on. We want to create as much on the front end for districts to use as we can. We're also holding in-person meetings. Amanda has been meeting with districts. We've already had probably 10 districts reach out and ask for us to come and sit down with them and help them build their individualized workforce plans. And we're in the middle of those, kind of setting those up right now. And then again, the last thing, which is a new project we're working on with Dr. Marshall, is how can we build some CTE and workforce courses within the MPB Reach synchronous learning platform so that we can increase access to these meaningful CTE programs to students all across the state. And so that's some work that's on the very beginning that we look forward to having available, as much of that available in the fall as we can. That was a lot. Quick. Questions? Dr. Farrell will be happy to answer them.
Everything's changing technology AI-wise. How is that being built into a curriculum and adjust these things? Because that means it's moving fast. And it's going to be a critical work skill. How is it incorporated, embedded yet?
In terms of technology, we are working hard as we revise our curriculum on CTE side, very, very, very conscious of that. And really in a way trying to predict. With a lot of our technology curriculum, once you guys approve those, they're pretty much obsolete like the next day. And they don't roll back around for 2 more years. But that's why one thing that we really notice is the ability to communicate face-to-face, the ability to problem solve, the ability to use your imagination, is what it's always been. And that's why we really try to take more of a skills focus of this plan, because being able to look someone in the eye and shake their hand is going to be something you got to do from now until forever, right? Collaborating, being able to work together, being able to sit in front of a board and have a conversation, right? So we've really tried to focus on that in terms of the plan, and then we're working on the back end. I said when we get to that 9-12 piece, we're really kind of relaying that back to CTE, and that's a job that I'm taking on with the RCU annually to look at these and think about and be sure that we're including that as best we can, because you're right, it's changing so fast.
That's my question. I know we prove things, there's a process and a lag.
Right.
And what we see today in the programs like that, it is dramatically different. At some point, we need to probably figure out how to be able to build in some of those interim and flexibility options to adjust for that without going through that full process.
The whole process.
You know, English as a whole doesn't change a lot in every 2 years. The technology stuff's changing every 2 weeks.
Yep. You're right.
Could I add something to the presentation? So our goal also, and they were speaking to this, is the site we're talking about building out, for it to become the state's place, all districts to understand this is where you come for K-12 workforce development information. So that there's not a question that this is it. This is where all of it lives, all of every plan, so that we have one single place that we can direct districts to. And then when we have one place to make changes. So it's not like, having to scatter it out all across the state. And then sooner rather than later, Dr. Marshall, he'll be coming to talk to you about some of the changes with synchronous learning and the CTE courses, as well as some other really good, we're the kind of group that nothing really is so far-fetched that you can't pull it off. So we've got some other stuff that I think is going to be really interesting that's going to tie right back in with CTE and exposure across the entire state. So that synchronous learning platform is just a vehicle to get this information out there. So I'm excited about the work that these 2 groups are doing. And also, it goes without saying, they're working across different parts of the agency. So this is an interagency piece that different shops, as we refer to them, are working across, from the academic to the CTE workforce world. So,
and if I could piggyback off that just for 20 seconds. The website there is, you've got districts in the state of Mississippi that are doing workforce development at this level. They've been doing it for a while. They've got a good plan and everything going with it. We've learned a lot from them in this process. And then you've got districts who are not doing anything, not of their own fault. They just have never been gone that route. They may not have business industry close to them that they can partner with, those kind of things. So on the website, we want to make sure that we have all information, templates, and things like that any district can use. For example, so if a very rural district calls us and says, listen, we want to start some job shadowing, some internships, some apprenticeships, we don't know how. Well, on the website, we've got a template for how you approach a business. We've got how you can create a flyer to promote your programs, how to do these kind of things like that. So we're wanting to have everything out there for school districts to be able to do anything that they need to do in that realm. to support them in that so that we can kind of help them go through those processes that they may not ever gone through or done before.
We have some states, some counties, some school districts, excuse me, and you just said it, probably have a high scope on some of this work, some of which I think they've learned a lot. And so how much of that work and groundwork have we looked at where the failures have been? And I'm going to piggyback into Mr. Mayo's question, how fluid is this going to be? And so one of the bad lessons that we learned in Gulfport is our original goal was every child to walk across the stage knowing what they were going to be when they graduated. That's not going to happen.
Right.
They know what they don't want to be, and the more important piece is that if you go through, go back to your model where you had K2, K3, that changes fluidly. The classes that we offer changes fluidly, and if we don't have that piece in there, we're going to struggle across the state. I mean, we're in a process now of redoing our DOI, and that's the same process of here's where we failed and need to do it better. Here's where we've got to make that happen. But that fluid piece is going to be really important. And by that I mean, this is really a very individual student, family, student lack of family conversation.
With major evolution.
And so we got to make sure that we don't, even though we got a website and we're going to give a plan out, we've got to give these districts some freedom. And quite frankly, outside of the regions we've been assigned, to make sure that that stays as fluid as possible and the courses we will require and so on.
That was the driving force behind how they designed it too,
Yeah.
you know, is to make it,
Okay.
you make it your own.
I mean, I don't know if you've talked to Gulfport, but we have the K through 8. Every classroom teacher is supposed to be doing something career-related in every lesson that they teach is on the wall. Something that we've had to work on, especially with COVID, because most of your outside people that would come in and help with that, we didn't do, so we're having to get back to. I just love the work. I think it's great. We need to be there, but if we cannot make this old-fashioned work of here's a box, go check it. It's got to be very, very fluid, and it's ugly sometimes, very ugly sometimes.
But I think that's where the partnerships with Accelerate Mississippi and MDE and Economic Council all comes into play.
And they can help us with that.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Mr. Easton, I don't know if you noticed, but you and I, a few months ago, had a lot of conversations about how y'all are approaching exploring careers.
Yes, sir.
I hope that kind of looked familiar, because I stole your idea.
It did. Well, that's the thing is, we've stolen from other people. I just want to make sure that we move forward. And all I'm saying is, education is becoming much more fluid than it ever has been. And I make this point all the time. You took a set of math classes, most of you in high school, and you took them because they were in alphabetical order. That doesn't help you with a career. You've got some, physical science was after biology, after chemistry, then you had the physics and so on. But yet physical science is the connection to most of your jobs in the world. They're going to be in that piece of it. So just understanding that fluidity, I think, is very important.
If y'all don't mind, I'm gonna tell you about one new thing that I think kind of goes along with that. Accelerate has lowered the age of eligibility for WET funds, which are state workforce enhancement funds, to 16 years of age. And so we are working with Blaze, we are working with districts to help them think about how they can use that. And what does a non-credit workforce 7-week, 10-week, 8-week workforce opportunity for your juniors and seniors look like, which more than likely will not be inside the building. Mm-hmm. More than likely will occur during the academic day where the senior isn't there, right? And so really we have an opportunity to get extremely creative. I think it goes back to how can we get folks to think differently? That culture change. That's the fluidity part, right? But that is a huge opportunity that's never been available to our districts that is out there right now. And I'm really kind of learning that this year, and I'm really excited to kind of see where that goes next year.
And then in the weeds, it's also the insurance and stuff to cover those kids at 16, where most employers are not hiring them.
Right.
Good points. And that's the fluidity we've got to keep in mind. It cannot be, here's a box, check it, and move on. It can get ugly, but it's a pretty ugly, if you know what I'm trying to say.
100%. And I want to give a big
thank y'all for your work.
I want to give a big shout out to Courtney Taylor, Dr. Taylor, for being willing. That was not an easy lift to lower that threshold. Age threshold for WET funds was not a popular thing, probably in some cases, but I will have to say that she very much so is in tune with understanding the value added to K-12 world. She understands if you give the K-12 world X dollars, we're going to give you back what we told you we're going to give you in training, 100% of the time. So I wanted to say publicly, I appreciate her doing that.
And one last closing thing I'll say is it's also the ability to make sure, especially the 7th and 8th grader, has access to more quickly, understanding though we're still held an accountability model that's based on ELA and math. And yet you got some future mechanics, if you will, sitting in 7th grade, they can't wait to get to work on the car and understand the math around that, rather than what about that math test? And I'm not downplaying the math test, it's just part of the fluid piece that has to happen. And a lot of ways we were successful, in some of the ways we are continuing to try to keep that working on in the district. It is. Last something I'm going to say, but it can be ugly, so pretty ugly, you just got to make sure it stays. Thank y'all for your work, it was great.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. All right, our next item is the approval of the appointment of interim superintendent for Oklahoma School District, Dr. Farrell. Sorry, I should.
All right, as y'all know, the Oklahoma School District has been placed into a district transformation for financial purposes. Since that time, I've been serving as the temporary interim superintendent. So today we are asking to approve Mr. Chad Spence as the permanent interim superintendent moving forward in the Oklahoma School District. Mr. Spence this will be his currently serving as the assistant superintendent in the district. He has been in that role just since August of this past year. He has 20 years of administrative experience in education. He has previously been the superintendent of Oklahoma Municipal School District in the past, showed success, moved the district in accountability ratings, moved the high school to an A when he was there during that time, and also during that time, the district was financially sound, completing all their audits each year. So we are going to recommending that the approval of Mr. Chad Spence as the permanent interim superintendent for the Oklahoma School District.
So moved.
I don't think you're saying permanent interims.
Well,
I understand.
Okay, so let me, just as the interim, yeah, it's kind of going from that deal. This was a different situation that I've dealt with since I've been down here. Me being the temporary, he's going to be the permanent, so yeah, but just
I think what he
interim
said, he no longer
superintendent.
wants to be the term.
I understand.
He no
Yes,
longer
yeah.
wants to be the temporary.
I'll second.
Yeah.
So this would be just like the other superintendent's
understand.
position that we have. And yes, sir.
I understand your choice of wording was necessary because of the very unique situation.
Yes, sir.
So we have a motion from Mr. East, a second from Mr. Pruitt. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have three contracts. Ms. Wiggins.
Good morning. We've got three contracts for your review this morning. The first contract is with Level Data to continue to provide services to Mecca. The contract is a 3-year contract in the amount of $754,000. The second contract is a contract with Insight to continue to provide services in support of our school safety platform. That contract is a 1-year contract at a total value of $1.4 million. And the third contract is the approval of the employment agreement for the interim superintendent for Okolona Separate School District. It's a 1-year contract at a total value of $115,000.
Anyone have any questions about any of these contracts? If not, do I have a motion to approve the contracts in 4A, B, and C in our agenda?
So
Mr. Mayo?
Second.
And Mr. Allen, the second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, and then we have 2 grants, Ms. Wiggins.
That is correct. We've got 2 grants. The first grant are awards for EIR, Educator in Residence Grants to school districts for literacy coaching supports. These are 5-year grants at a total grant value of $13.9 million. The second is the award of an EIR grant to school district to provide a director of the districts of schools of innovation. And this is a 2-year contract and the total amount of $292,000.
Anyone have any questions about either of these grants?
Move to approve.
Mr. Mayo moves to approve items 5A and 5B. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Jacobs, thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Wiggins. Next up on our agenda is an information item, discussion of our progress in the draft new strategic plan.
Yes, sir. All right, this has been a journey, and we're getting close to hopefully getting it across the finish line, and excited about that. So the purpose of this portion of the meeting is I sent out to each of you 2 weeks or so ago this draft, and each of you have a hard copy of this at your table. Now, this obviously is not the final draft, but it is just it's currently where we are. We feel as though we're in a really good place with the content in the strategic plan. And if it's okay with you, I would like to just very briefly, not going to read this word for word, but I wanted to point out in each of the goals, some of the things that are different and some of the things that might be of significance for you. So as far as how I would like for this to progress through is I want to read through some of this with you. I've had a couple of emails that I got back from a couple of our board members just with a couple of questions. I'm going to address them during the time in which we talk about each of the goals. And then I need for you, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any additional input, if you think we've missed something, if you think that whatever might be the case, I would like to get that from you. Because what I would like to have happen, the outcome of this, is for us to be able to take this content back in its form, and as well as in addition to the things that you may or may not have, and us be able to go ahead and compile it into a final format that we can bring back to you in the March board meeting for your final approval of the entire strategic plan. And one of the things that I want to say is also during that time with this, I will say informal approval, if you will, that I'm asking for, is we'll go ahead and start building out, we're building out also a scorecard for this. So, currently, and we'll still have this annual report that we do each year, but currently the annual report that you get is really a scorecard, if you will, a very in-depth scorecard of the work that progress the agency is making towards a strategic plan. So we'll obviously still have a report, but we'll also have, my goal or our goal was to also have a scorecard, if you will, that we can literally track as we're going. So it's not and we track it now, but it's not, I want it to be more visual, if you will, to the general public and to us as an agency, as the people within our agency. So, all right, to move forward, so nothing has changed in the vision or mission that has been created months and months ago. We did the core values. That is an addition to this strategic plan that was not included in the last one. And the core values that were agreed upon at the end of that conversation that we had, and these are the core values for Mississippi graduates. So these are the core values that we feel as though every graduate from a high school or a school district in the state of Mississippi should have, being integrity, accountability, excellence, innovation, work ethic, and communication. We feel as though those core values are extremely important to each student. Now, we'll go through the goals now. And again, just going through some of the high points and significant changes or additions. One of the things I want to point out first is several of the goals, or for the most part, each of the goals are very similar to the current goals that you have. What's different is the actions and the measurements that are within them. Because obviously, as a state agency, we're always going to have, goals that are related to teacher quality and goals that are related to early childhood and goals that are related to, students graduating college, career, and military ready. So that we're going to always have those types of goals. It's the changes in some of the additional measures, and some of the measures that were currently included in this current plan are still here because it's very important for us to continue to measure them and push them forward. So goal 1, every child has access to a high quality early childhood program and is prepared for kindergarten. The actions are, some of those are different, some are similar, but I want to focus on the measurements. We have taken a more focused approach to the language and actually measuring not necessarily participation overall in early childhood, but drilling that down to the individual early learning collabs and the state invested, and seeing what those trends look like in each of those two, because we know that obviously it's early childhood programming, but they're funded differently. So there's two different programming pieces, if you will, same curriculum, hopefully the same desired outcome with kindergarten readiness, but some more focused language there. And then the last 4 bullets that you'll find on those measures, they deal primarily with IDEA students with disabilities. And when it's looking at a more successful transition, the programming of a more successful transition for our 3-year-olds into our kindergarten, moving forward into the K-12 world, as well as ensuring, I'm just speaking generally here, ensuring their participation in the general education setting. We actually have a grant that we provide funding currently through the agency that helps support that and incentivize our early learning collaboratives, if you will, to ensure that our students that are with disabilities are in the regular educational setting. We also look at so the last bullet, we look at measuring eligible pre-K students demonstrating progress in their social. It was embedded in the previous goals with the social, emotional, academic knowledge, skills, and appropriate behaviors aligned to their age-appropriate peers. But now it's actually broken out specifically to measure because of the importance associated with that. If you've ever been an early childhood educator, you understand that bullet really should be at the top, right? So these are in no particular order, but that is very important that we're measuring that individually. So that's goal 1. And obviously that relates back to, like I said earlier, goal 3 in no particular order in our previous strategic plan. So goal 2, all students develop strong literacy and math skills in all grades. That relates back more so to what the original or the previous plan was for goal 1. It just provides more targeted language around literacy and mathematics. But one of the things I want to point out is in the measurements, we still measure the percentage of students that are proficient or advanced in ELA, mathematics, and science in grades 3 through 8, as well as our end-of-course assessments in high school. So we're still providing those same measurements. They're a priority. That's like I said earlier, some of the measurements that were in the previous plan obviously are still in this plan. So in the action portion, we did build into that the adolescent literacy piece as one of our actions, as well as a math initiative. And I know those have not been funded formally yet. We hope that we won't have an issue with that during this session. But obviously we were going to include that in here because that's a priority of the agency moving forward. So those are the primary changes and the things that are most significant about goal 2. Yes, sir.
The last bullet point, drop science, is what's being measured compared to the bullet point above it as one of the measurement groups. Is that intentional or unintentional?
That's unintentional. Gotcha. Thank you. We looked at this thing a bunch. You know how it goes. Okay. Thank you for that pointing that out, sir. So goal 3: every student graduates prepared for success in college, career, or military service. We added the military service portion to this. That's that in line with the push we have currently in our state and have and have previously had and currently have for ROTC programming. We did receive some promising information that potentially there may be additional funding through the military to expand that ROTC, to expand our current ROTC offerings across the state. We have districts now that are begging for ROTC programs, and they're actually self-funding them in some cases. So that's an initiative that we have pushing forward. So we did add that. Mr. Miller, one of the questions he had in his email was actually including ROTC participation in in the measures. So what we did is, I hadn't added that because I wanted to bring that out to the group before we added that, or before you decided to add that. I think it's a great idea. It needs to be added. But we would add that. I also made sure that we can track first year, second year, and completers in our ROTC programs as well. So that would in turn be the measure that would be associated with it. So with your approval, we'll add that. We can get that approval here towards the end. So a couple of other additions. We did add the ASVAB as one of the measures. So the last bullet under measures on this page 5, looks at students achieving a score of 31 or higher on an ASVAB, which indicates readiness for military service, as well as so you would see on the second page let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the last 5 bullets under measures on the second page. And I'm sorry to have you turn in so much, but there's a very intense focus there on ISPs, which are individual success plans for each of our students that were referred to in the K-12 in the K-12 workforce development plan that was presented earlier. We're intertwining that back into our strategic plan, as well as a focus on transitioning of students that receive special services or IEP students into post-secondary opportunities. So that's an area that is vitally important. And in some cases, it happens just seamlessly. But in some cases, it doesn't happen as seamlessly. And that's an initiative that we have to have as an agency in order to make sure that we're pushing forward that transition, and not just students with disability, but all of our students that need those transitional services. But sometimes those students, there's like a disconnect, if you will. And we've got to make, because in the end, our goal is to make sure that all students graduate, like you said earlier, prepared for success in college, career, and military service. And that all means every student. So that's the primary additions and changes and measures that are associated with Goal 3. So Goal 4, all students and districts demonstrate strong academic outcomes. This is related back to the previous goal of 6, but what it does is it's not just focusing on districts being rated a C or higher. What it does is it looks at, and we've done this in the agency, we're currently finishing up the refining of it, and we've put it into play in some districts. But 2 of the bullets I want to reference under the actions for Goal 4 is the 4th bullet, provide a uniform coordinated system of supports to low-performing schools and districts tailored to their specific academic, leadership, and operational needs. That has been happening. What I would tell you is we have streamlined it extensively through Dr. Farrell, his office, and school improvement, and we have coordinated it across the entire agency. In all honesty, it was happening, but it was not coordinated in a way to where we thought that it needed to be coordinated. Now, think of it as being built out as a standardized plan that every department within the agency understands their role and how we move forward in our districts. Think of this in a district maybe a district that's an F, and we go in that right after those accountability ratings are published, we immediately go in and help develop a plan with them, a plan to improve them, because we do not want them to be an F 2 years in a row. We want to help them grow. That's what this coordinated effort is across the agency. I'm very pleased with how, I am very pleased with how internally our agency has really just meshed. It was a kind of a hard process, if you will, but it was making sure that we just cut down all the barriers and all the walls and said, hey, here's what we're doing. Everybody's on the same page. It doesn't matter if you're a literacy coach in the leadership, in the literacy department or in the SPED department or wherever you are, we're all singing the same tune, going in the same direction, because we can't have the agency ever look dysfunctional. That can't happen. It will not happen. So that way we're all in alignment moving forward. I know I preached on that for a while. That's a huge deal because that's a lot of our coordinated efforts. You know, about 2 meetings ago, we had an article that came out that around $17 million a year of the agency's dollars, you know, they're put into our districts that are sometimes struggle academically. This is as a direct response. This is how that works. This is those coordinated efforts. And the second bullet there, right under that, was the implementation of a standardized improvement plan. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth bullet of a standardized improvement plan focused on leadership, instruction, and sustainability for districts at risk of becoming a district of transformation. Those two bullets really are hand in hand. One is the agency and our support, and the other is the plan in which we're helping create in that district to keep them from getting into a situation where they become a district of transformation. Under the measures, so now the second bullet, it's not just the C or higher, it's the percentage of A's, B's, C's, D's, and F rated schools and districts. That's a intense focus. That goal is not just that C or higher. And the other part that we interwove within this is, again, not to repeat myself, but previous goal 6 was solely based on districts and schools C or higher. This one has a continuous improvement piece that is intertwined among all of the actions and measurements. So think of it as a more holistic continuous improvement methodology, if you will, right? Okay, so goal 5 looks at all schools are fully staffed and qualified with effective teachers and leaders. Couple of things here to point out. One, under actions, number 1 is we currently have, like we spoke about earlier in my report, the Mississippi Leads program. That is one of our action steps that we've included in Goal 5. And obviously that's ensuring that we have quality leaders from the superintendency to the principalship, assistant principalship, and then on down into the classroom with our teachers. And number 5 there is the expansion of equitable access to quality instruction through remote synchronous teaching. That's our synchronous learning project that we have with MPB. That we're obviously it's building momentum. It's continuously building momentum. So I'm very excited about the progress that we have there. And again, I want to publicly thank our legislature for funding that. And I want to go ahead and publicly thank them again with the anticipation that they're funding it again this year. So I wish it into happening, right? So I think that it's been very successful, and to be honest with you, a very popular thing for our district. So I feel good about that. Yes, sir.
On number 5, this is just an optic thing.
Uh-huh.
You see how all those are numbered
I agree.
rather than bullets?
Yep.
The other ones are bullets.
Yeah,
I think it would be better.
I made the same number, but I would like them to be numbered. So
That's
we
what I
have
was getting
this-
at. Number them all of them. That way we can
Gotcha.
say action number 8 under goal 5.
Gotcha.
And I do measures too, in the same.
Same with
Gotcha.
measures. That way you can directly reference it.
I made that same note.
I realized that was much easier for me to count the Again, this is this is content. That's where we're going here. All right. Yeah, it will be much smoother reporting in the future. So thank you. No, I appreciate it. All right. So under measures, they're very similar. Really, measure 1, a percentage of effective administrators and educators with PGS ratings of 3 or higher. Previously, it primarily measured the districts that turned in the PGS ratings. This actually looks at the individual, starting to look at the individual ratings of the teacher, which we obviously did that internally, but it's actually reporting that out, and then reporting out teacher shortage data by subject and grade level for the state. Those are the primary differences. Goal 6 is the only brand new goal. So goal 6 is every student attends schools and districts with a safe, engaging, and supportive environment. Just to speak generally here, it looks at family engagement, or excuse me, it speaks to family engagement. It speaks in several places to chronic absenteeism. It speaks to the need for emotional and behavioral support of our students, the importance of counselors, the importance of, we did actually reference BTAM in here. That bill did not make it out, so we're having to punt a little bit there as to implementing that across the state. So we're going to revisit that before the final outcome, before any final decisions are made here. And then obviously the measures, they relate directly back and looking at chronic absenteeism, student to counselor ratios, mental health professionals, those ratios in our districts, and as well as like through a screening process, the number of students that are identified as students at risk, and then the percentage of elementary and secondary schools with positive behavior support personnel that align with the identified IDEA population. So like I said, it's a new goal. It's the only new one that's in there. So, all right. And in doing that, I should have said this earlier, Mr. Jacobs, he had a question that was asking about measures and what some of those different measures were. So I addressed those questions in that presentation. So now, after having time other than this, you had some time earlier to look at it, are there any additional questions, comments, additions, subtractions that you would like to provide at this time? Because again, I would like to have like an informal approval, if you will, to move forward so we can start doing some things on our end.
When do you want to do the final approval, total of this?
March, upcoming meeting, yes, sir.
And I'm going to make this suggestion. If I understand you got this, we've got some new things. Can we agree that if everybody has anything in addition, the next board meeting is March 19th. If we could have anything to the department by March 9th, I think that would give you 10 days and plenty of time to add it to where we'd have a final version. Is everybody good with that? Just for us as board members to, whatever other input we want to have with this by March 9th. Otherwise, you can take what you have at that point to have us something to finally approve in March, and then we can solidify this. Is that agreeable to everyone?
And anything that gets sent, what I'm going to do is I'm going to recirculate it among
Yes.
all of you, and I'm going to need a thumbs up
Yes.
if we're good with that approach.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
And if we don't have a thumbs up, then we'll just bring it, and we won't formally approve it necessarily at the meeting. Y'all won't. You know what I mean? We'll work through it.
but the goal is to get this thing finalized, in a position to where we can finalize it by March 19th. I don't think that's unrealistic to do that.
So you're interested in ROTC being listed in here?
As a measure to determine, so we can, the way I was thinking is because we're adding military service as a career pathway to one of the, again, I'm not the educator, so I don't know what I don't know, but one of the pathways I know, as Dr. Evans said, more and more schools are interested in junior ROTC, and to just get the measures of what those are, to who's participating, how many people are completing it, and things like that, as more of a sort of action item and a measure item, because that to me helps measure that goal.
I am not against that, but before we approve that, I think we need to look at the disenrollment criteria that each of the ROTC services have. Because I think I heard somebody mention even counting them as completers or whatever the case may be. And I think we really need to look very closely at what are the disenrollment possibilities that we do not have in other programs in the school district. I'm not against ROTC being there, but I want to make sure we've got some type of a unified idea of what it means not to be a completer and why in ROTC as opposed to all the counties.
You mean by disenrollment?
Student taken out of.
They got out or had to get out.
Or as simple as a parent not signing the document.
Voluntary or involuntary?
Yeah. No, I understand. I think that to me, logically, that makes sense of what a measurement that we're looking at, not only what the numbers are, but why.
So let me say back to you so that I understand what you said. Because none of this would be punitive either, you know that. That was not that would never be the goal. But, so look at the enrollment requirements for each ROTC program based on branch. And then also look at it's gonna be, so I'm afraid it's gonna be difficult for us because to determine, because I guess you could have a district, so District A, they've got X criteria for a student to go from like ROTC 1 to ROTC 2.
Or does the armed service have that and not the district? That's what I need to get clarified.
Okay, all right.
Got Army, Navy, Marine, and Air
Gotcha.
Force. And are those?
Just to see if they're
Are we
different.
on the same playing field
Are they different or are they the
in those
same?
four?
Right, is that way,
And Coast Guard, we have Coast Guard yet? How are we doing?
because that makes the data more reliable.
Gotcha.
If it's
I
coming from the
understand
same
that.
place.
I got you.
Yeah, it makes it more unreliable if you have a different set of standards.
Right.
You said the same thing I did, but a different
Very
way.
good.
All right, anyone else have any comments or suggestions at this point? All right, so just to recap, March 9th, if you have any additional comments, and I would suggest that if you send them by email all the board members, so we're all in the same loop, so we don't have to repeat ourselves, so we can get to the final plan.
Mr. Reese, we'll get that out to everybody ASAP.
Yes, thank you.
Look, I want to especially thank y'all for getting us to this point. This has been a process, and what y'all have come up with is a great start, and in my opinion, almost a completed product, but we're going to get there.
And I appreciate the number of people that participate.
Yes.
Outside of staff and everybody, so thank you.
All right, moving to our consent agenda, we have items 7A through K. Do I have a motion to approve these?
So moved.
So move, and Dr. Barrett has a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Do not have an executive session. So then, does anybody have any reports to give on any meetings they attended? Does anybody need approval to attend any meetings? All right. Any other business we need to take up? So, all right, our March board meeting will be held on March 19th, 2026 in Jackson, here in the Central High School building on the 4th floor beginning at 10 a.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Mr. Stroud, thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? I appreciate everybody's work today, and I want it noted that this is the first board meeting I've been in charge of, and it's been under 2 hours. I was going to be wearing that because we've had some marathon ones. We started additional conversations.